It's Oldhammer ART time, baby.
This is a famous piece, and I'm sure a lot of you out there are already familiar with it. If you've not seen it before, then you're in for a treat. Sitting at the table are a pair of Space Marines, and I use the term Space Marines lightly. These might just be regular humans wearing power armour, as a lot of people had access to it during the Rogue Trader era. They are more likely mercenaries of a sort. The mercenary on the left reminds me of Arnold Schwarzenegger. I think it's the head shape and the hairline. The chap on the right is harder to identify. I think he looks a lot like Tom Berenger, maybe inspired from his appearance in Platoon in 1986. Do the years add up? Now, of course, both Marines are wearing Mark 6 armour, as that was the only mark in the Rogue Trader era, with other marks created for the setting further down the line. We have some nice graffiti on the Marines, as is typical for the Rogue Trader era, the most prominent being the phrase "kill" on the Marines' power fist. Interestingly, here it's spelt with both L's. Usually I see it with just the one. There's also the phrase "the one big one," clearly a reference to the big red one. Is this a unit marking or some more throwaway graffiti? Let us all know in the comments below.
I don't know if any of you guys know, but did Arnold Schwarzenegger ever appear in a movie together with Tom Berenger? I'm going to have a look. It appears not.
Oh dear, this gentleman doesn't really look too happy, does he? I'm not surprised, considering what appears to be going down. So we have here either someone who's being attacked by a Psyker, or a Psyker who may have delved a little too greedily and a little too deep. 10 internet cookies if you get that reference. Now, this might be the most graphic depiction of a Psyker's attack that I've ever seen. It looks like the guy's head has literally exploded, and warp stuff is spraying out along with some blood. A grisly scene indeed, but very fitting. Most of the stuff coming out of his head isn't blood. You can see a little blood there, but it's mainly what appears to be a star field. It's really bizarre, but it fits perfectly with the weirdness of Psykers. What is amusing is that the Psyker is actually doing the blow my mind gesture. I don't think I've ever done it myself in real life. I see it a lot in the media though. So who do you reckon this is anyway? My guess is it would be an Imperial Psyker of sorts due to the bald head. I'm not sure what part of being bald means you're a Psyker, but that's how my mind is working today. He could be an Eldar, but he doesn't appear to have the ears for it. The other option is he's just a victim of another Psyker, someone who's made this guy's head pop. Regardless of whoever it is and whatever is happening here, I think this is a wonderful depiction of the warp affecting someone. Another Rogue Trader art video, another orc. These are quite common in this era, it would seem. This one I really rather like. This time the orc looks a little different to your usual RTB02 Space Ork Raider style. It looks a little more serious, I think. This orc looks like some sort of commando, a green beret of the orc world. Now, shall we start a bit of conflict? Who do you think are the best Spec Ops units in the world? The SAS or the Navy SEALs? Let us all know in the comments below. Oh, he also reminds me of a Trapjaw from the Masters of the Universe, and that's awesome. What I would like to know is, why is he staring at his watch? Is he late for something like the White Rabbit, or is he imitating Marty McFly from the Back to the Future poster? On the orc's helmet is a little letter T. What do you think the T stands for? Top perhaps? Or twit maybe? He has a few interesting implements on his chest, a grenade and a Game Boy. When my old Rogue Trader miniatures have these little boxes with buttons, I always like to paint them as Game Boys. They look wonderful. The Ork has what appears to be belts around his legs falling off, giving me the impression of someone walking around with the trousers around their ankles. It doesn't look the most comfortable. His right arm has been removed and replaced with what looks to be the same cutter arm from Kane in RoboCop 2. I do think Rogue Trader might predate RoboCop 2 though, I'm not sure. On the Ork's shoulder is a little cone-shaped device. A device that looks like either a miniature road cone or a witch's hat. Either that or the Ork is massive. This Ork has a backpack that looks suspiciously like a marine backpack, but scaled down so it looks really small. Maybe it is a giant Ork after all. Didn't they have names? Black Orcs or something?
I think Black Orcs might have been a fantasy-only thing. Did they ever really get a Warhammer 40,000 equivalent?
Someone's got ABBA on the vinyls again. Dancing Queen, I'm young and lean, come on and split your spleen. I never did know what the words were for that song. I'm not really an ABBA fan. Now, aside from the wonderful dance moves that this Ork is pulling, he actually reminds me of Conan. I think it's those fuzzy shoulder pads and the helmet perhaps. I like the expression on the Ork's face. He looks like he's puckering his lips and is about to deliver a proper Malfoy Potter. If you're wondering what the best Harry Potter movie was, it was The Goblet of Fire. It was also the best of the books. They all went a bit downhill after that. The Ork does have an awesome piercing on either his lip or chin. I can't quite tell, it might even be both. There's chains linking it up to his ear piercing too, and that's great. His clothes, however, are a little tatty, and as Tina Turner would say, he's a raggedy man. 10 internet cookies to anyone who gets that reference. In his left hand is what appears to be an auto pistol. An auto pistol with a bayonet attached to the magazine. Have you ever seen that before? I don't think I have. It's weird, and I like it. In his other hand, he has a weird looking chain sword. I think this time the art is based on an old miniature. I think the miniature had a name, and it was Buzzy Buzzocks. I wonder if that was a Buzzcocks reference. His helmet, like I said, is quite strange. It looks like it's got crab arms coming out of the top, and they also look like they could move. What would be the point of such a contraption? He has an interesting marking on his elbow. I think it's a marking in the shape of something. It reminds me of the marking the lady gets in Prince of Darkness before she becomes possessed by Satan. That's another great movie, and I thoroughly suggest going to watch it. I wonder if this marking means anything. Moo! This robot looks like she's about to bring us some milk. It has the head of a cow. Well, that's what it looks like to me. On the side of the robot cow's head is a handle. Now, why would there be a handle there? Can his head be removed and used for something else? Can you carry it around to make cow noises? It's bizarre, and I love it. In place of an eye, the cow appears to have a 1980s school projector lens. Maybe he's beaming some sort of maths equation on the wall. Actually, now I think about it, I might be getting mixed up with overhead projectors. Did they have a big lens? Now, a lot of the robots from around this time were usually quite big and chunky. This one's a bit spindlier, which makes a nice change and adds to the weirdness. The best thing though about this robot's body is the metal Y-fronts. Are Y-fronts still a thing? You used to get beaten up for wearing them when I was a lad, and this was before the times of boxer shorts. I'm struggling to work out what's going on with the left arm. Is the robot holding that weapon, or is the weapon part of the arm? I'm leaning into part of the arm as I don't think I can see a hand, but that might just be the angle. So do you guys think this is an Imperial robot or some sort of Xenos or even AI creation? It doesn't resemble any Imperial robot I've seen, so I'm going to go with AI. Maybe it's a cow of iron. Whatever the case may be, I would love to get a miniature version of this. Isn't that what 3D printers are for?
Now I have been considering purchasing myself a 3D printer, but sadly I don't know much about them. I think I like the look of the Elegoo, Mars or Saturn. Are they good ones?
Okay, so can anyone help me out here? Does anyone know what we're actually looking at? Are these meant to be aliens or plants? Maybe they're both. Whatever they are, I do like the look of them. The one on the left has what looks to be a sort of bird's head on the end of it. Is it an actual head, or does it just look like a head? This is quite confusing. These things also have long, slender, almost serpentine bodies, but I guess you could say that about any plant. After thinking about it, I think the one on the left might be an animal and the one on the right just a tree or plant. There's things on there that look like eyes or faces, but I think it might just be a coincidence. Both of these things look like some sort of Jim Henson creation. Did we get anything like this in Labyrinth? I feel I've seen something similar somewhere. What these could be is some foliage or trees or a forest on a planet that's been sucked into the warp and twisted and tainted by the ruinous powers. Which god would turn a tree into a barbed wire beast? Khorne perhaps? Tzeentch maybe? Now if these were made into miniatures, not sure they'd be the greatest, just horrid spindly things that would snap if you just so much as looked at them. If you go down to the woods today, you're sure to meet a bear. Remember those bears we see everywhere in Warhammer 40,000? Oh, okay, maybe you don't. So this is what we would probably all agree is a bear. A bear with strange ears. I think the rest is pretty normal. I'm not a bear expert, so I wouldn't know to be fair. Now the ears themselves look like your typical ears, and then they have 3 little points on them, like pointed elf ears, but more of them. This bear apparently comes from the world of Cathel. Cathel is a death world. Another death world that starts with the letter C. Interesting. Now regarding bears, I remember once being told that the polar bear from Earth, not a death world yet, is the most dangerous animal on the planet, being the most aggressive and deadly. I don't know if that's the case at all. Have any of you guys ever heard that? Maybe I dreamt it.
Now talking about different bears, are pandas meant to be dangerous? They always seem a bit too dumb to be dangerous to me, you know? They seem to always be falling off things and falling out of trees, rolling off cliffs, that sort of thing. I'm still not going to risk cuddling one though. Now talking of risk, if you're enjoying the video then please consider liking it and subscribing to the channel. That means you, Harry. If you are enjoying the content on the channel then please consider joining us on Patreon, the link to which is in the description below or up here somewhere.
So this picture has rather a lot going on, doesn't it? What we appear to be seeing is a group of what I think are captives being herded along by some guys in big walking mech things. To me, the guys riding around in the walkers look like Necromunda gangers. Are these guys just generic punks or something? I'm sure I can see a lot of mohawks in there. It would appear the mohawk is the most popular haircut in the rogue trader era of the 41st millennium. Now I remember once hearing that the walkers here are based on some walkers in either Japanese anime or Battletech, specifically the legs. I'm no Battletech expert or anime mech expert for that matter, so I don't know. If any of you guys know, then please let us all know in the comments below. The general vibe of these walkers reminds me of a mechanical elephant with the saddle on the top. Is it called a howdah or something? There's a scene in James Bond where they hunt him through the jungle with them. Oh, and we mustn't forget the Pelennor Field scenes in Return of the King. The way the captives have their arms tied up or yoked like that reminds me of the scene in Mad Max 2 where he heads out to get the truck carrying the fuel. It's possible it was an inspiration, but it's also possible I have those movies in my brain rent-free a lot. I hate the term rent-free, by the way. Please don't ever let me say it again. One of them heard me say that, and unfortunately collapsed by the look of things, and I can't blame him. Now the caravan appears to be walking through some sort of rocky canyon or ravine. Any minute now I would expect a Jawa to pop out and fire a restraining bolt at someone. We might even find them for sale later at Luke's house. There's a big label on the front of that walker, but I can't make out what it says. It looks like it says Mute Till Pig Sequin Company. Interesting.
Some amazing art there. If you want to see some more amazing artwork, then check out the playlist up here somewhere. And as always, thank you very much for watching.